as we read in the book of Ephesians, chapter 6, we read about the putting on the uh,
Armor.
uh, armor of God.
Yeah.
So, and also it says about, whenever we think about the armor of God,
Hmm.
usually we get a picture of, having wrestling with the Satan, or about the satanic attack, or
Hmm.
so and so. So my question is like, does God, that does Satan have to get God's permission before he can attack anyone, or really Satan attacks someone, or why does God even allow Satan to attack a believer, as we read in the, I mean, for an example, we can take the life of Job. So can you just put some
Hmm.
thoughts about satanic attack or spiritual warfare, especially?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lots of questions there, and some very good questions as well. Aditya, I think if as believers we do not have a theology that includes Satan and the spiritual forces of darkness, our theology will be very lopsided. But the danger is that some people really are so obsessed about the demonology, and that they take it to undue places and give it undue importance. C.S. Lewis says that there has to be a balance between whether there is the demonic world and spiritual forces of darkness, and how much of attention and weightage that we give to it. And also, he says there will be an equal error if we totally neglect the idea of spiritual. So, even in this epistle, I think in chapters 1 and 2, we are seeing Paul writing about, fighting. We're not fighting with flesh and blood. We are engaged in a kind of a spiritual warfare primarily. Those are the primary agents. And there are secondary agents, perhaps humans, that we are fighting with at a physical level. So the idea of the spiritual warfare and physical warfare that a Christian is engaged in has to be understood properly. Primarily, every battle that a Christian fights and faces, spiritual battles to derail us spiritually, are coming from, forces of darkness. But to be extra obsessed and be excessively obsessed and be more Satan conscious than to be God conscious is another dangerous position many Christians have gotten themselves to. They even elevate Satan, in their minds as if it is standing against God, pitting and fighting against God as if he were equal. We have to understand that God is always on top, that Satan is a created being, that Satan is limited in knowledge, Satan is limited in his ability to know. Satan cannot read your minds. Okay, he's not omniscient in that way. Satan cannot be in two places at the same time because he is not omnipresent or in all places at the same time. Only God is. Satan is obviously not omnipotent. He doesn't have limitless powers. Only God does. And of course, Satan cannot be and is not omnibenevolent at all, because he is the accuser of the brethren. He is the father of lies. He wants to hurt people. He wants to destroy people. He wants people to fall. So I think while as Christians who believe the Bible and who are given to biblical theology, we do recognize the role of Satan and the place of Satan, but we should not give him an undue place in our lives or in our theology or in our minds. Then we will actually be more Satan conscious than being God conscious. And I've seen many Christians that are all the time speaking of only spiritual warfare. And in their minds, they are giving Satan too much of press. So I would suggest that we hold these two in good tension and understand that Satan comes, several categories lower to the idea of God. Is spiritual warfare a reality? Of course, it is a reality. Okay, should we all the time be thinking about spiritual warfare? Well, maybe not if we have better things to think about and much work to do. And we believe that God is our protector, and we are always on war mode, prayerful all the time, and have all the armor padded up, and we are in a safe place. We don't have to be obsessed about when the enemy is coming. I remember a beautiful anecdote about Martin Luther. One night, Martin Luther, when he was sleeping, he woke up in the middle of sleep, and because he could sense that his bed was rattling. Okay, the foot end of his bed was, moving violently. The bed was, and he got disturbed. He got up, and he saw a kind of a dark figure, and he looked at it and he said, "Oh, it's you," and he went back to sleep. Okay, now this has stuck with me for a long time. So in a sense, what you understand from this is, yes, of course, Satan is there. Yes, of course, Satan will disturb you. But if you give undue importance and attention to Satan, okay, when are you then going to give importance to God, His work, His people, and the sanctification of our souls and the reaching of the lost and so on? He will come as a barrier. He will come as a disturbance. He could come from time to time, but then we don't get bogged. We don't respect him so much that we give him too much attention and stop and have a nice conversation or a debate with him. We just have to move heavenwards. We just have to progress. We just have to run. We are pilgrims on a journey, and barriers will come. Spiritual attacks may come, could come, but they have to come only after crossing the layer of God. When you ask, yes, God has to give permission for Satan to do with us whatever he wants to do with us. And if we are secure and safe and walking in right standing with God and not putting our head out of the umbrella, as my pastor in Bombay used to say, we would not get wet. Okay, so we need to know our place, his place, our appropriate behavior, have the right theology of demonology, have a greater, higher view of, the nature and person of God and Christ, and continue to do our work. But are there certain people that are really coming under the attack? Yes, they do. And those people need to probably give it more thought, prayer, bring it to the attention of people in the church, and form a team and pray and so on and so forth. So have a healthy balance and stay somewhere in the middle is what I would say.